On Saturday, June 20th, I participated in the second Clash of Kings. It was kind of funny because on Friday, the day before, I got a DM from Rodney being like, hey, make sure to turn in your deck list to me by tonight. I had known that the tournament was on the 20th. I, for some reason, thought the 20th was Sunday. So when he had messaged me, I was really confused. I guess he wants the deck list like a day earlier than usual, maybe because there's more people participating. And then I realized the next day was the 20th, and I originally had plans that day, so I had to like kind of play around them. It did help that the tournament this time around was a little bit different. Instead of being 5 rounds of Swiss, moving on to top 8 single elimination like last time, it was only 4 rounds of Swiss. Similar to last time, I won't be using a script. I'll be just kind of going off of my notes I was taking during my games. I did not film my reactions in between each game this time because I just noticed it was one more thing to distract myself with. I was definitely way more relaxed and comfortable this time compared to the previous Clash of Kings. I think a big part of it was that the people that were in it, I had become a lot more like acquainted with. People like Juan Mango, Asterisk, 50 card. So that means it's kind of cool because now I have people that I can like cheer for and stuff and kind of pay more attention to rather than just kind of be in my own head, you know? So something different about this tournament as well was that it was 2 deck format similar to last time. There were stipulations on which decks you could bring. You can only bring 1 deck out of the top 3 big boys, being Royal Paladin, Shadows, and Kagero. So that means your second deck had to be outside of those 3. They also didn't specify that you needed to have a lead deck, so you could pick whichever deck you wanted to play with first. And if you lost, you also had the choice if you wanted to switch decks. You would still have to win with both of your decks, but if you felt a little off about your playstyle with your previous game, you can still switch. I think there's some strategy in that, especially because going 1-2, I think is better than going 0-2 in a game. That being said, I didn't do as well this time. I did not move on to top 8. Here, let me just kind of tell you how I did. In the first round, I lost to EKO. I'm not exactly sure how I pronounce your name. I lost both games. I decided to lead with Kagero both times. I was thinking that basically every person in the tournament was going to be bringing Royals, so me bringing Do would be just a natural counter to that. Also, I'd built Do because I really like him. What ended up happening in my first round was that my guy here played Bermuda Triangle as his lead and then followed with Pale Moon. It was very cool to watch. Like when he first picked up Bermuda Triangle, I was like, oh, this will be like just an easy win. And then he creamed me. I just never got my footing. And then in game 2, he brought out Pale Moon, which I forget on which turn. I think it was on turn 3. He rushed me really well. He was able to get past one of my interceptors and then still be able to deal me 3 damage. I remember specifically because my girlfriend plays Pale Moon. That's like her deck. And she was watching at this point and she saw them lay Alice. And she was like, oh, that's not good for you. And I was like, oh, no, yeah, you're right. And then just like bang, 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 bang. You know, like just a perfect like Pale Moon turn. I was like very impressed. I was able to win my second round 2-1. I was able to win my third round 2-0. And then in my last round, I lost to Cardfight Nation. I went 0-2. Same problem. I stuck with Kagero both rounds. And he beat me with an OTT Tsukiyomi deck, which at one point I did call out a PG by accident. I meant to call out Bar behind my dual axe to make a 21k column. It was funny. I distinctly remember calling a card out, going to battle phase, and looking at my hand and still seeing Bar in it and being like, wait, what did I lay? And then like looking over and seeing my PG just chilling behind in the back row. And I was like, oh no. I wasn't even mad. It was more just kind of funny, you know, like of course this happens. I don't think it would have saved me because he ended up calling Tom and I DM'd him after, and it sounds like he had PGs in his hand, so I wouldn't have been able to take him to a 6 damage anyway. So I think that was a loss. And then in game 2, I played against Majesty, and I thought I could have come out with a good game here, but it just didn't go right. I think the biggest mistakes that I noticed was that the only games I really lost was when I played Kagero. My backup deck that I brought was Risers because I couldn't bring DI this time. The thing was, I know a lot of people kind of remember me as the guy that went to top 4 with DI. It's just that in this meta, it's just too far behind against clans like Doe and Shadows. Maybe if MLB was super duper represented in this tournament, I probably should have brought DI, but apparently not many people were able to bring it. So I don't regret not bringing DI, but I really would have liked to, like, you know, represent again. And also, you know, I'm a big fan of Risers, so I'm glad I could finish it and bring it to like a competitive level again. I'll probably also do a video about an updated Risers build. And the thing about my dope build, both games that I lost, I went 0-2 and I led with Kagero both games. I think the problem with all of them was that the thing with dope compared to Phantom Blaster Overlord, which also is a Persona Blast, the thing is at least PBO can do stuff without a Persona Blast. You know, you can counter blast 2 and trade. Doe is just a 13k body and then hope that you have a copy of him in your hand or draw into it with Airmo. So the deck is very slow turning engine. Yeah, it's kind of like Tsukiyomi that once you start churning it, it's kind of hard for the opponent to keep up. But it's way more piece reliant, especially on having other copies of Doe in your hand. Going into the tournament, I didn't practice as much as I should have. What ended up happening was this was the meta that I played the most in when I was on the Japanese server. I was able to build Doe very quickly, so I played it a lot. I played against MLB a lot. I felt like I kind of understood the meta well enough so that I didn't really need to practice for this tournament. Also, just running into so many VP farmers and just bad MLB builds was just kind of annoying at a point. But yeah, I think that's probably the biggest mistake I made, was just not practicing enough rather than my actual misplaying. I'm still happy with my performance. I'm still pretty confident in the deck builds I brought. I think I just played against better people. Like Cardfight Nation, the guy I lost to in round 4, he's the guy who won the whole thing. So that kind of feels nice, you know, like when you watch animes and the guy who lost to the main character is like, oh, you better win the whole thing now. That's kind of what it felt like. So congrats to Cardfight Nation for taking home the win. It was very interesting. All of us who were in top 4 last time didn't even get into top 8, I believe. The tournament was a lot of fun. Like I said, it was a lot less nerves going into this one, so I could just kind of sit back and enjoy it a little bit more. Thanks again to Rodney and the rest of the Cardfight Vision peeps. Tournaments like this really allow the community to kind of have a hub to come to and just really enjoy the game that we all care about. Other people in the community are also having some pretty cool tournaments. Please try to see if any of your content creators are on Twitter and maybe releasing some info about tournaments they're doing. I think it'll be a really good thing for the community to kind of keep this churning engine of tournaments going until tournament modes are added to the game. Yeah, I never know how to end these. That's all I got.